Let's see. Best 760 by 39 pistol manufacturer. So I never speak in absolutes.
Yeah, me either.
Because
try not. There are some.
Right.
Almost never.
But no, so you'll very rarely catch me saying definitively one thing. Like this is the best, or whatever. What do I like? What if I could only have one 762 by 39, it'd be a classic AK. But I think on the U.S. market right now, your best bet if you want a traditional type of 762 by 39 is going to be a Bulgarian AK, an Arsenal, because all the Russian guns got shut off via sanctions. If you got the money to go pick one up off Gunbroker, they're as good as you're going to get in terms of Ks. The Veprs are still some available, but I think the most consistent build would be the IWI Ace if you want a 762 by 39 rifle. I like the features on it. It has a pick rail across the top for optics, and it's a consistently built gun where a lot of the Russian and Bulgarian guns will have inconsistencies in their quality. You're not going to see that with the IWI guns.
That is true, absolutely. It's inconsistencies. I think he has pistol. So I tried to scroll, I couldn't. If you
Ace pistol, I don't know.
So if you're asking pistol, I would probably lean right now, as we're making this video, towards either the M92 or the Draco, the standard Draco, not the mini. Those ones have been awesome in my opinion. So
I'd go with the Ace still.
Maybe a Sam too. So the Arsenal Sams, they just came out with ones that you could easily adapt the rear trunk into both AK and AR stocks, and the actual front side block now is threaded normally.
Right, you don't have the barrel sticking out.
Yeah, so that's fake. That's a good one too. I don't have one, but it's a good looking gun.
Yeah. So that's probably the best you're going to do on 760 by 39. And there are some 760 by 39 ARs out there, but honestly, haven't had very good luck with them. The only one that I've shot the poop out of and I didn't break was the CMMG Mutant.
Yeah,
I shot that thing a lot.
The CMMG.
Two of them.
Did you?
My videos.
So I couldn't break mine. I ran
suppressed.
suppressed.
They fixed it after that.
Oh, did they?
My video after what I did.
Did you break the bolt? That's what I'm thinking.
No, I broke the gas block twice.
The gas block, were you running it suppressed?
Once yes, once no.
So what's funny is I ran mine, which I still have. I wish I could take it up to the shop. I still have it. It's still caked in carbon, and I fired probably 70% of the rounds to it suppressed. Baffled, not OSS. I mean, way over gassing the thing, and I couldn't break it.
Yeah.
I took it pig hunting and all sorts of stuff. But again, everybody has different experiences. So, and keep in mind, many times we only have a sample set of one. And so you can't make definitive conclusions based upon my experience with a firearm, and Mike can pick the same thing up, and mine will run fine, and his will break, or vice versa.
Yep,
so as you just saw. So I just recommended a gun that he broke two of.
They fixed them both, if that helps, and they fixed the problem. Current ones don't have the problem. So.
Bob, thank you for the super chat, brother. Let's see. Will you show us shooting a Tavor subsonic with a can? Okay, so it's going to be a bolt action gun if you do that, right? So I've never been a big advocate of 308 subsonics. There's a caliber out there called 300 Blackout that will actually run reliably in a gas gun, and it's going to give you the same ballistics. So you're going to take a 220 grain 308 bullet and make it go subsonic velocities. Well, why would you do that in a long action gun? Just get a 300 Blackout. So I probably won't shoot subsonic 308s out of the Tavor 7 because that's not what I want it to do, and I doubt very seriously if it will cycle. But I can try. I mean, if people are interested in it, I'll go find some subsonic 308s and I'll slap them in there and find the most restrictive baffled can on the market and see if it'll cycle on its wide open setting. But I don't know that it will. There's just not that much gas there. You're dealing with completely different pressures.
I mean, dramatic.
Oh man, it just lurched forward again. Yeah, there we go. All right. Tim, I sent you an email on the IWI 556 this morning. Join us Patreon. Thank you very much, man. Obviously I've been busy today. Jason just left not long ago. We were filming all day long. He got in yesterday afternoon, and we immediately did a live stream on his channel. So we haven't had a whole lot of free time, and I got a lot of emails to catch up on. So man, I will catch your email. And thank you for the support, brother. All right, we're coming up on the hour mark here really fast.
Yeah.
It goes by so fast. Okay, the Life or Liberty channel.
You were here yesterday.
Yeah, outstanding. Good seeing you. Checked out the channel, guys. Looking for a red dot sight for my SLR 107. Side folder, trying to figure out if I should go a side mount or the Ultimac route. Either way, will need a sight. So I am an absolute Ultimac sucks kind of guy. I did testing years ago and showed that Aimpoint and Trijicon at the time, in their owner's manuals, I actually read it this time, says that their maximum operating temperature is 160 degrees. So I had an Ultimac on my AK-74. I put a red dot, put a T1 micro on there and ran 6 magazines and took a temperature reading, and I was over 160 degrees.
Way over.
So if you're going to run the gun hard and actually use it in classes and stuff like that, the Ultimac is the absolute worst thing you can put on your AK, and put a red dot sight on it, because electronics do not like heat. And when you put a very expensive red dot sight on there, now you're saying, well, man, I've done that like 15, 20 times or 100 times and my sight works fine. Yeah, but you've just shortened its service life by half or more. Because every time you do that to the sight and get it up above its operating temperature, you're degrading it. And so there's a reason why they say don't get it over 160 degrees, because they've tested them, and don't get it below a certain temperature for optimal performance. So I'm not an advocate of the gas tube rail systems. I think it's a really bad idea on AK. So it leaves you with a Texas Weapon System top mount or an RS Regulate side mount. And I have found the Texas Weapon Systems and the Parabellum top covers to be flimsy at best. So that leaves me with an RS Regulate side mount. And yes, I realize on the Russian folders that fold to the left, that means you can't fold your stock anymore. That's the price you pay if you want a red dot sight. I can't really think of any other alternatives that are go to war tough, unless you can think of something.
Well, one real quick that is extremely tough, but it's a compromise as well. I think it's called the SOMAC that Circle 10 makes, but you replace your rear sight, so you give that up. So, but it's that thing's solid.
Now, I've seen some of the ones that replace the rear sight that sit in there and then have like a set screw that draws it up tight. I'm not into set screws and things like that. I know Krebs did on some of his conversions. He milled that out and put a 1913 rail up there, which I would definitely do.
Right. It's what I believe Circle 10 was trying to do was as closely create that without milling it.
Right.
So it's, in my experience, it's been really solid. That said, I'm gonna kind of, everything Tim said about the Ultimac is true. However, I would add that I think a large majority of people don't shoot their guns enough and long enough that it really matters. So you kind of have
That's
to look,
probably true.
You kind of have to look at what you're going to do with it, and what your use is. So if you're firing relatively slow fire and you have it just for home defense, it's probably going to work okay.
Yep, I would agree with that.
So, and if you're just going to run it ragged, what he said is correct. I've seen Aimpoints, a T1 cooked, and then also a Holosun cooked on them. And it's not a dig against either. That's extreme temperatures these guys are running these at.
So if you could take a class in the middle of summer in South Carolina, and you're doing an 800 round or 1,000 round weekend, you're going to get that thing so hot that you're damaging yourself.
Right. But for a lot of guys that don't do that, it's a solid system. Of course, you're kind of getting a scout type of sighting system, which I personally don't like, but I know a lot of guys do. That's up to you at that point. The Midwest Industries mounts, the Gen 2s, in my experience, have been decent as well. Side mounts, just as a side note, you mentioned RS. RS is great too. But the Midwest and new lockup system is a little bit better. The first gen, and I've had no issues with those as well. So.
Yeah, I just stick with the RS Regulate mounts because they've been so good to me over the years in terms of being just stupid, reliably rugged, and
same here.
And has so many different options, and it's modular. So where the Midwest, the longest time, I don't even know if they've changed this, but you couldn't center the dot over the receiver. It was just what it was. If it sat a quarter of an inch off one side, well, now you got to drag it off because it's not over bore.
It's still true.
Okay, so that's why I like the RS.
Worked. I like to try things because I run a channel where I try things. But I agree, RS is good too.
There's a method to my madness. I like to pretend anyway. Let's see. Any experience with the salient arms other than the Janik? No, I really haven't had much experience with salient arms.
Yeah, not
so
zero.
I wish I could say more, but
just the Janik.
So everybody goes. So I've been to Turkey and I got corrected multiple times when I called it a Canik. They're like, no, it's Janik. And so that's why you hear me pronounce it that way when I screw up things like I say Walther versus Walter, because I wasn't in Germany, had Germans beating me up over the mispronunciation of the word. So that's why I say I say Janik versus Canik. But I'm fine with Canik. We're Americans. We say what we want when we want, how we want. Okay, another super chat. We're gonna have to wind things down here, guys. We're over the hour mark. Tavor 7 Subsonic is more about compatibility to make one silent shot if needed I remember IWI advertising compatibility with 308 cycling as a plus. Now they didn't mention that to me. I've never heard that, so I'll try it. I mean, I don't want a single shot rifle. I don't understand the value of that even, and I don't know. In the civilian world, I don't see any purpose for that.
Yeah, the military world, sentry work kind of thing, but
yeah. But if it cycles, great. But I haven't seen any documentation that says that they were targeting that.
I have not either.
I've had many conversations with them, and they never said, "Hey, try out the subsonic." They haven't, and I've had many conversations with them because I actually had one of the pre-production rifles, and I was constantly giving them my feedback, like, "This isn't working. Could you change this?" And we were working through the accuracy issues, and I was testing all different types of ammunition and stuff, and never once they said, "Hey, try out the subsonics and see if it functions for you." So I haven't heard that. Love both your content. Thanks for everything, and thank you, Brett, for the support and the super chat. Mike, do you actually use primary arms on your rifles?
Yes. Yeah, I do. My go-to long-range rifle is wearing a 6-30, and that's serious use should it occur. And then trying to think of any other.
Their signature line, I absolutely love.
Yeah, it's very good. And I would absolutely go with one of their 1-8s if I wanted to roll for like a DMR. It would definitely be one I looked at. Yeah. Seriously, they're very, very, very good.
I would agree. I like them. They sell them at Copper, and it's Copper stuff that they stand behind.
Yeah, and I'm a believer in their reticles. We talked about this earlier as well, but I really am. Dimitri over there is doing really good work.
There's a company called Wyoming Arms that has an AR-10 receiver that's a hybrid between an AR-15 and AR-10. You can use parts from an AR-15 on 308, and it's only 7 pounds. So that's nothing new. That's been going on for quite some time, where people are using 308 size bolt carriers up front and then tapering it down to the M4 standard in the rear, or M16 AR-15 standard in the rear, and then using an AR-15 and 16 buffer tube. So that's been going on for quite some time, and it's gosh, I remember when DPMS did it. When they first came out with the G2, they were doing it. The Mutant does that. Palmetto's doing it. Yeah, I mean, so a lot of people are doing it, and I think that is the way forward for trying to get the weight down on those that want to use 308. And there's a lot of reasons to shoot 308.
Yeah, F4 Defense has one. They just released it.
Oh yeah, and the F4 Defense, but the F4 Defense that I shoot is actually 6.5 Creedmoor because I really don't have a need for 308 outside of the historic military side of it. I'll never buy another 308 rifle for anything other than collectors types guns. Oh no, I just jumped forward again.
Yeah, it's doing it.
All right, we're gonna have to wind down. Okay, there's the mic. Do you actually use primary arms? You should look it up, man. I'll check into it, man. With regards to the 4.7. And if that is a thing, I will actually make a video about it. Let's see. I bought what I thought was a Circle 11 AK-74 before I knew what I was doing. Turned out to be a Polish kit on a Century receiver, and receiver is junk. Any advice? Get a Nodex. But yes, get a good AK Smith. Like all my guns, I have Chase at Definitive Arms to work on, and that's where I would go to first. But if you can't get on the roster there to get work done, find another good AK Smith. There's several that are decent out there, but I would definitely go with Nodex. But
shut up.
Morrissey receivers, they tend to be the best. Also, gosh, what was Chandler receivers?
Oh, shut the fuck up, bro. Dang.
Very important to her. She saw it very early on. I think we can say, Kellyanne, and it was a very, very important thing. Just envisioning the tremendous problems within families caused by not only opioids, but drugs generally. It's a disaster. And it's, as I said before, it's all over the world. It's a problem all over the world. But we're hitting it very hard, and I think we're hitting it very effectively, more effectively than anybody would have thought possible. And we have some things happening and some things coming out. We're spending a great deal of money at my request on finding a painkiller that's not addictive. Where people go out and they have a minor problem, they go to a hospital with a broken arm or a bad back, and they come out and they're drug addicted, and they have bigger problems than they ever thought possible. Literally, at the end of a week, their whole lives are messed up, destroyed. And we're setting rules and regulations that have had a tremendous impact. So I just want to thank all of you folks, Secretary, for the job you've done. It's been It's really been incredible.
We know
Success
we have
has been
addicts.
great, but the
within
real
24
success will
hours.
be, I think, over the
Thank
next
you,
few
President
years. I
Trump,
think we'll be
Thank
doubling
you
and tripling our
for
numbers up.
smacking them in the
And if
medical
we do that, we're going
facilities.
to go from having a really
Knowing
big
that we
problem to
become
having a
addicts.
much smaller
We,
problem.
me and
So there has to
you,
be something out there, but it'll be a
become
much,
addicts
much
towards
more
pain.
manageable, smaller problem.
And they don't give a shit
And
about
will have
what's really
saved a lot
going
of
on.
lives and helped a lot of
They,
families.
off,
And
they
will
throw
help
us the
people
man.
live a normal life as opposed to
Hey,
the kind of hell they're living through right now. So I appreciate you being
my
here.
man,
Any questions, please?
100%. The hell, the hurricane. You're talking about drug addicts. You're talking about hurricane. Shut up. Shut the fuck up.
All right, folks, that's going to do it for us
Bitch.
today here on Fox
Of
10 Extra. You can
course.
continue to watch and stream with us on
You can't even
fox10phoenix.com
hear what he's saying.
as we will be carrying this
That
live
was
for
a
you.
good response.
It's a tremendous tragedy. It's so far. I mean, we've
Bye,
they
bitch.
found some pretty bad things, as you probably have heard. But the numbers are still, if you look at that, the numbers are still much smaller than anybody would have believed. But we're at the request of the government, and even without the request, but the government has requested, the government of the Bahamas, and we are over there in a very big way with the Coast Guard. We'll also be sending quite a few more people. We also have to watch what's happening with Georgia and South Carolina, North Carolina. It's on its way up, so we have to see where it hits, how it hits. We got very, very lucky in Florida, as you know, John. We talked about that a little while ago. Florida was going to take a direct hit, go right through into the Gulf, and really that would have been tragedy, and it made that right turn that a lot of people didn't expect. Very few people expected that to happen. And not only you're right, it stayed fairly far away. So Florida's in great shape, and now we're going to go through some tremendous states, and we're going to see how they do. But so far, it's staying away. We think it could come on in South Carolina, come very much more unsure. We'll see what happens. But so we have to keep our guard up. We're watching that, but we're also very much helping the government of the Bahamas.
And size of the military response, Secretary.
They're putting in all, yeah.
Secretary Esper was talking about clearing runways.
Right. He's doing that now, and we're doing that now. The runways were.
It's nothing but we're not
It's never time to speak out what we shouldn't say. When the silence is crying, we can't stay away. Oh,
we can't talk about guys and politicians, man, so leave it to himself. It's doing his job. Bitch, you don't even feel comfortable with me. Y'all look forward to him for being in security, but then you say, oh, he can't do it.
Were
No God.
mostly
No
topical.
God.
The runways weren't badly hurt, other than with tremendous debris, as you saw. So we're clearing runways. We're having a lot of food brought in. We're taking some of the. We were very well set up in Puerto Rico, and we didn't have to worry about it because fortunately I missed Puerto Rico. But we're taking some of the supplies from other places, including Florida, where we didn't have to use them, and we're going to be bringing them over to the Bahamas, where they really need it very badly, because that was a very hard hit. Yes.
You showed us a map earlier, the initial form.
Yeah.
It appeared to have maybe edited or something to include Alabama. Can you explain how that change was made?
No, I just know. Yeah, I know that Alabama was in the original forecast. They thought it would get it as a piece of it. It was supposed to go. Actually, we have a better map than that, which is going to be presented, where we had many lines going directly, many models, each line being a model, and they were going directly through. And in all cases, Alabama was hit, if not lightly, in some cases pretty hard. Georgia, Alabama was a different route. They actually gave that a 95% chance probability. It turned out that was not what happened. It made the right turn up the coast. But Alabama was hit very hard, and was going to be hit very hard along with Georgia. But under the current, they won't be. Georgia will be possibly. We're going to see. We're right at that point right now. But I think Georgia's going to be in great shape. Everyone's going to be in great shape because we're going to take care of it regardless.
Thank you.
But the original
Thank you.
path was through Florida. That was probably 3
They don't
years. I
hear
think that's
shit.
probably
They
3 or 4
don't
years
give a
old.
fuck about good
The
shape.
original path that most people
can't
thought
talk
it was going to take,
positivity and
went right
negative.
through Florida, where
All negative
right
human
way with
beings don't want to hear
Georgia,
shit about
Alabama,
positivity.
etc.
Literally, I swear to God, the moment you start talking about things you're going good, yo, shove it down your throat. That shit is about to hit south, no matter what. The world is gonna end as you help human beings in your pain. The world is fucked. Even when you try to help people and show people that there's a light, it will swallow the light inside of your throat and preach darkness in your face. And then lie and tell you your light was a fool. You made a mistake. you were mistaken. You don't get out of my mistaken face. I'm mistakenly fuck you up. I'm saying all this. Because I'm gonna die. I'm gonna curse my body for something. No, it's gonna be affected. It's not embedded. It's not embedded to my everyday health. Why don't you want to take it? It's because once you start taking that specific kind of medicine, it's a curse. If you don't take it, you'll die. Do you get what a curse is, or do you not get it? Yes. Where the fuck is my gun? Shit. This shit was over here. I put it over here. Fuck! Shit is under.
And that map that you showed today looks like it only had like a Sharpie.
I don't know. I don't know.
Chris, Walmart is discontinuing sale of certain ammo after the recent shootings. I think they're making a smart decision.
That's up to Walmart. Hey, they're very smart. They had a tremendous quarter. They just announced tremendous numbers, which tells you how well our country is doing. That's sort of like the ultimate poll. But Walmart announced numbers that were shockingly good. I'm very proud of them from that standpoint. From the standpoint of what they're doing with ammunition and guns, you'd have to talk to them. That's up to them.
Help deter future shootings or reduce the damage.
Well, I don't know. They feel that what they did is the right thing, and they can do what they have to do. But we're working with Congress. I can tell you a lot of people are working on different scenarios, and we're going to see how it all comes about and what happens. But Walmart, they did what they did. What I'm happy about Walmart is they announced such great numbers. It shows how well our economy is doing very well. China wants very much to make a deal. We'll see. They had the worst year in over 50. You know, they had a year that was a disaster for them. Millions of jobs have been lost. Their supply chain has been destroyed or soon to be destroyed. I don't think they can continue onward like that. But let's see whether or not they want to make a deal. I can tell you they want to make it. Let's see if they can get to the table.
In terms of what's coming together in these talks with Congress in the wake of Odessa, past Dayton, Marietta shootings, what kind of direction is that heading now in terms of background checks, in terms of mental health?
Right. Well, a lot of people are coming back, as you know, John. A lot of people are coming back, and they're back in many cases. And there's tremendous talk going on as to exactly the subject you're talking about.
Right.
Many different concepts and many different things, including mental health, which is to be a very important element of it. And we'll be having, well, I already have. I mean, I've been having a lot of phone discussions and some meetings with different people in the Senate and in House of Representatives. And we'll be making some pretty good determinations pretty soon. We're in touch with a lot of different people. There are many proposals put forward. I heard 29 different proposals. So there's no lack of proposal. We'll have to see what happens. I support safety for our citizens. I support keeping guns out of the hands of sick people, mentally ill people. And I also support something having to do with mental illness. We have to get these people off the streets. And I was saying very strongly when I was young, we had mental institutions in New York.
Right.
And
St.
the
Elizabeth.
governor
Let's talk
and
about it.
governors closed most of them. And those people are on the street, other than a few of the institutions for
With
people
knives
that
trying
have
to stab
very,
police.
very severe, unbelievably severe
I know, because
mental
I locked
illness. They
these
closed
guys
so
up.
many of those institutions. That happened to a lot of other places, and they closed them
Exactly.
for cost reasons. It was during
Cost.
not great
They don't
times,
feed them.
and they closed
They
them
don't
for
house
cost
them.
reasons. And
So they
I
put them
think
in,
that it's a big
make them homeless.
problem,
That's it.
and we have to have, at least to a certain extent, some of those institutions have to be in a new form opened up.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
If they're closing some proposals,
100%.
maybe extending
100%.
Well, we're going to take a look.
That's a
We'll
different
invest in
division
proposals,
of human
certainly, but,
beings.
we're going to be
Not
looking at a lot of
incarceration,
things and hopefully
but
coming up with something that's bipartisan. It
rehabilitation.
has to be bipartisan.
That is
But
different.
hopefully we'll come up with something
It has
that's
to be
bipartisan and
specific.